Hi, this is Homay from Spitfire Audio, and I'm doing another one of my selects, and I have 4 different libraries here. I have the alternative solo strings, the chamber strings, then also Dustbundle, which consists of keyed instruments that have been morphed that sound really cool, and then also Trailer Giant, which are based on sound effects. The first sound I'm using here, I was digging out from a folder that I keep with most of my favorite sounds, and I like this one in particular because it has this really nice bottom end to it. So I want to use this simultaneously as my bass line. And after a lot of trial and error, I came up with a progression in a 6/8 feel. Which is the first thing that I put down, just to show you in context. Before I moved on to the melody, for which I also used a Dustbundle sound. Which is a really nice grainy sustained sound. And I played that in octaves and also was thinking about including a pedal note in that melody. What I love about pedal notes in this case is that D, is that when the bass notes move around, I always feel it pulls it into a different direction and gives that note a different quality. When I do the selects, I work on a blank canvas, so I have to sort of give myself a frame to work to. And for this in particular, I was thinking about maybe doing something that could be the opening to a TV series, maybe something more on the curious and strange side, just to have something in my head to get started. I otherwise keep it very vague and see where it sort of takes me. The next thing I did was working on this pizzicato line. Which I tried out on the chamber strings first, but wasn't quite sure about the sound there, then used alternative solo strings, and it just suited it a lot better for what I had in mind. It is a lot more upfront, slightly more bold, partially because it is a solo instrument library. And you can hear also these little nuances of the individual players that have been recorded for this one. So it's really beautiful. Also, by trying out different libraries, I then realized I can actually progress into the chamber strings using the same articulation there. So this is what I've done over here, whilst also doubling it up with another Dustbundle sound. So together I thought it gives a nice edge to it as well. And I feel that now gives a bit more of a progression. So starting on this one sound and then having multiple players in a chamber strings library automatically opens up the sound a little bit more. Having down my main elements here, I know I had to work on the intro a little bit better. So I started off with this trailer sound. Which is really nice and gritty. And then I used a couple of other sounds that I've reversed and put a delay on there. For example, over here, I've reversed this sound, and you can do that by simply playing in a MIDI information. Then if you right click, you can go down to bounce and join. There you have the option to bounce in place, which will then bounce it into a new audio track. And then within the audio track, you can just go into functions in here and then reverse the sound. And then over here I have a sound that I used within Dustbundle with a delay on. I wanted the delay to sound a little bit more cut off, so I automated it. If I let the delay go over the whole sound, it would have been a little bit too soft for me. I automated it by putting a Logic delay onto a bus, which then allows you to find this one in the drop-down menu in automation. You can choose to send over here and then automate whatever you want to do in here. So this is the first section. So now that I had the first section down, I continued with the sound I started off with, wanting to put down the rest of the structure of the song, thinking of trying to build in a sort of mid-8 in there, and then with the prospect of coming back to the main melody I just played, with a slight variation. So the first thing I've done with the sound is just to try and switch up the chord progression. Once I had that down, I had to think about how I'm actually doing the transition from one section to the next fairly seamlessly. So what I use sometimes is some high string sounds that sort of over-arc from one section into the next, as well as having the delay playing over here. And to make it sound a little bit more cohesive, I used some of the sounds from Dustbundle and layered it with the strings to also give it a bit more bigger spectrum over here. A couple of other things that I've done here is adding some rhythmic elements just to switch it up a little bit. So I introduced the spiccatos and the chamber strings. And also have another Trailer Giant sound over here, which I've automated the panning of. And I've done this by opening the Logic's direction mixer, then go down here into, turn this onto latch. And if you then press play and move this dial about, it will then automatically sync with automation, and then you can just adjust the way you want it to. So I have this sweep going from left to right. Don't forget to turn this back on to read. So for the next part, I wanted to include a melody that acts as a mid-8 melody, so nothing that's more prominent to the one that I've already established over here. So I came up with one that is sharing it between the Dustbundle sound and the chamber strings. So you have a bit of a call and response theme going on there, as well as in the second half, I don't know if you've noticed, I repeated a phrase from the first part over here. So I just solo that out for you to be able to hear and see. I think it's good to repeat elements here and there, whether it's melodically, rhythmically, or harmonically, just to give that sense of continuity and familiarity. Moving on, I wanted to start the ending of the piece and come back to the main melody and the main theme. So I wanted to create a little bit of momentum, which I've done with a gap I've included here. And the only instruments that are playing within here are these. So I have a hit that's fading out whilst the reverse sound is then building up to the final bit, coming in with a melody which are spread over 3 different octaves just to have a bigger build and progressing from the previous section. I've also included some lower strings that act as the basses and the cello, doubling up the bass sound that I've already used within Dustbundle. And the only other thing that I've changed here was the chord progression. I wanted to have the same melody going over different chord progression to give it slight variations. And I continued with the spiccatos here to give it a sense of urgency. And for the ending, I've used a singular chord, just a very abrupt hit, that is sort of like a gong indicating a full stop. So that was most of my thought process. Let's listen to the whole thing. That's it from me. Thank you for watching.